call.
Johnson is with us, remote and non-voting.
Wiper.
Here.
Markham.
Here.
Miller.
Here.
Rahman. Long.
Here.
Spiz is absent with notice. Smith Charles.
Present.
Yeah, quorum.
Wonderful. Let us stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. That takes us to our fourth item on the agenda, which is approval of the minutes dated October 16th, 2024 and October 24th, 2024. I'll entertain a motion to approve those. Moved by Long, supported by Rahman. Any additions or corrections? Seeing none, we can do a voice vote is fine. All in favor by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Opposed by the same. Hearing none, that those minutes are approved. Item 5 is the agenda approval. If it's in order for committee members, we can then, no changes, we can go ahead and do a voice vote to approve the agenda as it is. Anyone want to approve? Okay, Mr. Wiper, and supported by Commissioner Markham. Thank you. Any discussion on that? Seeing none, we can do a voice vote of if you're all in favor of approving the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
If you're opposed, say aye. And I hear none, and that motion carries. I feel like I want to gavel everything. Next is public comment. Item 6 on our agenda. It's 3 minutes per speaker related only to items on the agenda. Do we have anyone here from the public who'd like to address this committee? If you are so inclined, make your way to the front of the room here. Seeing no one making their way to the front, I will go ahead and close public comment. Item 7, we have communications, a motion to receive and file. Item 7A, Economic Development, Oakland County Transit Division, SMART, April through June 2024 quarterly report. Moved by Commissioner Rahman, supported by Commissioner Markham. And would anyone like to say anything from the perspective of transit?
You on transit?
It's fine, it went through committee, and we got our quarterly report,
Great.
no issues.
Wonderful. If all hearts and minds are clear on that, we can go ahead and prompt the vote.
Miller?
Yes. You have 68-0.
Yeah.
Great, that motion carries. Next is item 9 on our agenda. I believe 8 is empty, therefore I don't have to read it. So item 9 is our consent agenda. There is one item under consent, which is the fiscal year 2025 appropriation with the City of Southfield for Tri-Party Road Improvement Program, project number 56941. And this is a
It's a big one.
road improvement
You
item
move it?
category.
You
So-
want to move it? Do you have cell phone?
I'd
Yeah,
be
you
happy
should
to move it.
You should move it.
I move said 9A consent agenda item, supported by Commissioner Rahman. Thank you so much. Any discussion?
No.
All right, we can go ahead and prompt the
They
vote.
do what they want with their tri-party.
Miller?
Yes.
You have 68-0 nays.
That motion carries. Thank you all. Takes us to item 10 under the Water Resources Commissioner recommendations. I'll take a motion to authorize item A, 10A, authorization to negotiate for the purchase of real property for a new public works building. Moved by Commissioner Markham, supported by Commissioner Smith Charles is fine. And I know all your wonderful faces, but please, Jim, if you wouldn't mind introducing who you have with you today.
I will once again. Howdy folks, Jim Nash here, Water Resources Commissioner. My left is Ann Vara, my Chief Deputy. Steve Korth is my Chief Manager. Brian is Coburn is my, sorry, Brian Coburn is another one of my managers and in charge of all these kind of things that we do. And we have Kelsey Cook over there, who's another one of my managers and chief legal counsel. So if you have any legal questions, anything like that.
Great,
Um,
thank you.
So I really appreciate you having us again, once again here today. We've talked about this before at your committee and others. We're here to seek authorization to construct a site to construct our new Public Works building. We've experienced significant growth over the last 20 years, basically from around 200 to almost 400 or little in the summer, over 400 employees. And we've just kind of run out of room to put them in. Over the years, we've done things like move to other buildings. We're in 5 buildings. We'll be consolidating this into one. Again, for efficiencies, these are older buildings and they're all over the county, which makes it a little more difficult. We've known for over a decade that we need to consolidate these operations and to make these more efficient facilities. Our plan is to build a modern facility designed to be a public works facility, not just office buildings that we, changed over the years. We've already had consultants to look at the size and where and all the things we need to do around that. And we're here to continue with the design of the building, we need to find a suitable site to meet our needs. So this is to be a significant site. And we're here to give a presentation about what this is all about. So I'm gonna let them take over.
Thank you, Jim.
I'm gonna say just a couple of things. So we've been at this particular process for about 6 years now. This is the team, Steve, Brian, and I, and then we've collected a team of consultants, Plant Moran, aka Architects, and Frank Rewald, all vetted through the purchasing process through the county. So this team has been behind the scenes working on this for a long time. It's been a long process. But now that we're at the beginning with this process before the committee, and we'll be back many times to provide you updates and gain additional approval. So this is the very beginning to seek the property for the building. It's very important we consolidate our services. It's important for operations to be in a consolidated building, and it's more efficient for our customers in Oakland County. So we're real excited about being here. Thank you so much. I want to thank Brian Leffler, who's been really instrumental in the finance piece for us, helping guide us. He took over several months ago, and he's been helping us guide us through the deep finances that are really important in this process. It's an expensive building, an expensive process, so one that we don't take lightly. So thank you, Brian, for that. And I'm going to turn over to Steve and Brian Cook.
All right. So I'm gonna walk you through a quick presentation, kind of just giving you an overview of what we're doing and where we are. Like the previous speaker said, the current facility that we have is undersized and we're decentralized. We're in 5 different buildings besides Public Works. We want to consolidate those 6 locations into one new modern building. Right now we have to require remote work. We can't all be in the office at the same time because we don't have enough space in our building to have everybody there on the same day. So that's one way COVID helped us, but we'd like to all be together if we can. We've looked at the ability to expand the existing Public Works building. We've also looked at expanding our other locations that we have throughout the county, and we just don't have enough land area in those locations to make that work. We also looked at some of our other facilities, like I said, with similar results. What we want to do is gain efficiencies in sharing equipment and staff in a central facility. For example, right now my water maintenance unit, they're in 4 different locations. So it's hard to centralize your operations and have efficiencies when you have people spread out throughout the county. We've also increased our scope of services. We've pulled up 2 new customers, Sylvan Lake and Pleasant Ridge, within the past 3 years. Walled Lake was 5 years ago to bring on water. We look probably towards the future of having future community contracts. As it gets more expensive to operate a water system, we look that communities are probably gonna have to outsource that, and we're the obvious choice when they outsource those operations.
Can I stop you there?
Yeah.
How many communities do you ballpark think are in that situation?
In the future,
Uh-huh.
the smaller communities are the ones that are gonna be hit hardest by the cost of hiring somebody who's got all the credentials to do those types of things. So, I'd say probably a handful, 6 to 10.
We already operate and maintain for 23 in either water, sewer, or both. So we do a lot of communities already.
Thank you.
We've also received a lot more money recently, which allows us to implement our asset management plan. So We have an increased investment in repair and replacement, and we have an additional focus on preventative maintenance, trying to make sure we fix things well before they break. And then, you know, our current facility doesn't really comply with the ADA and then also Americans with Disabilities Act, and then we want it to be a more sustainable facility for the new building. Here are some photos of the existing facility that we share with FMNO. In the first photo on the upper left, it shows that we have to work on some equipment outside since we don't have clearance in the existing garage space. On the upper right, it shows we have large vehicles and they have to be parked in, requiring staff to move lots of vehicles out of the way if we have an emergency. Lower left shows one of our large sewer televising trucks. We have several of those in addition to our Vectors, which are even larger. And the lower right shows additional equipment parked in several deep into the facility. So we'd like to be able to have access to our equipment 24 hours in case of emergency instead of having to move equipment out of the way. It's not very efficient. The next slide shows a conceptual plan that we did back in 2018. This is old. We will be revisiting this. You know, this was pre-COVID and everything kind of stopped during COVID and we came back, started looking at the building again. This will be updated once we find property and will be enhanced with green features and sustainability. We've worked with our architect to determine that we need about 25 to 30 acres. We have outdoor storage of materials, and so we need space for that. Also, some outdoor parking. We worked with Plant Moran Crest on a space needs study in 2022, and we updated that again in March 2024. And that helped us to look at how much we have in staff and then what size building we need to facilitate that. So we're looking at a 16,000 square foot office building, 2 stories. 30,000 square feet of field support, that's gonna be offices, workbenches, break rooms, staging and training areas. Then 140,000 square feet of vehicle storage inside to protect our equipment from freezing, because we have equipment that has water in it overnight for some of our work that we do. And then to keep, you know, to keep the vehicles working longer. And we plan to seek property in the vicinity of the existing public works building. So in this general area, because this is central to where our customers are located. We serve customers from Farmington Hills all the way up to Village of Oxford and Oxford Township. So we need to be able to get to both locations relatively easily. So looking at the funding, we've been working with Plant Moran's real estate arm to estimate the cost of the new facility. It's around $90 to $100 million. Without land cost is unknown because we haven't started that process yet. That's what we're here today to get approval for. The project will be funded using $10 million in reserve for the Drain Equipment Fund. So the Drain Equipment Fund is our internal service fund that we use to pay salaries and the equipment and materials, and then we're reimbursed by the local systems that we operate and maintain through a reimbursement charge. So we've been saving over the past 10 years up to $10 million to have some initial money to put towards the building, at least for the initial phase. The remainder of the project will be funded using county issued bonds, with the bond payment to be paid through an increase in rates that we charge our customer communities. The impact of that rate increase on a monthly $100 residential water and sewer bill is minimal. It'd be 25 cents for the first year, 25 cents for the second year, so less than 1%. Schedule-wise, we're here today to seek approval to search for property so that we can site the new facility. This is not the last time you'll see us, as Ann mentioned. When we find property, we'll be back to get approval on several items, including the property. We'll return again when it's time to sell the bonds and to seek bids for construction, as well as construction award. So we hope to have the project complete and occupy the new facility in early 2028. So in summary, we're looking for a new building, 186,000 square feet on 25 to 30 acres to consolidate 6 buildings into one. It's gonna cost $90 to $100 million plus land costs. We're gonna pay for it using funds that we have in our Drain Equipment Fund reserves, county issue bond, and an increase in WRC charges to communities to cover those costs. As I said, the retail customer will see less than a 0.5% increase annually for 2 years, so it's a 1% total over 2 years. And we plan to complete the project within 3 years pending property acquisition. So with that, I'm done talking. Thank you.
Thank you. Got a commissioner with a hand raised, Commissioner Long.
Oh, thank you. So some of that was answered about the rate increase, which is 50 cents per 100. So that was good, thank you. That was answered and how it was gonna be paid for. A couple issues I have, and I do not disagree with the concept of this, because the harder you make it for a customer with all your buildings everywhere, it's terrible, cause all of a sudden I'll be driving down Dixie Highway like, oh, there's water resources. Or there, you know, I mean, so it's very difficult, I get it, that there's 6 buildings. My issue is, so now we're moving to Pontiac, we're here, and if you're gonna buy property somewhere else, I don't like this, we don't have a centralized campus anymore. I think we're making it harder for customers, so I wish we would've had a plan where if we moved to Pontiac, we were all moving to Pontiac, abandoning this, or, so I'm concerned about where the property is going to be. I just think this is making it really hard for residents of Oakland County to have, we're gonna have 3 different campuses now. And that's one of my issues. And I'm not saying you don't need a new building, cause I think you do, I don't like it all in hodgepodge, I haven't for years. But another thing that came up is hybrid. How many employees do you have currently, or percentage wise that are hybrid, and why can't they keep working from home? I mean, if it's worked since COVID,
Sure.
why can't, I mean, it seems like billing can be done from home. There's a lot of jobs in water resources that could be done from home. And I'm not a hybrid person, cause I personally couldn't work hybrid. I would be doing laundry and everything. I would never be sitting there. And I will say it out loud, I'm not a hybrid, I could never do hybrid, but I know some people can. So I'm wondering what, like, what is your percentage of hybrid now, and do you need to bring them back? You know, do we need to bring them back just because we need a new building and we're bringing back people?
So right now, about 105 folks are working remotely.
Okay.
And that includes the folks in the administration building and then one of the outbuildings, which is billing.
Okay, that's what I'm thinking, they could work at home.
Right. And we're gonna continue that program. It's very popular, as you know,
Right.
you've heard it from a lot of
Right.
folks. We are designing the building as if our entire staff will be back.
Okay.
Nobody knows what the future holds, so we don't wanna design this big, beautiful, expensive building and make a mistake or be stuck. So we're designing it as if every person could come back. And we're being very creative because of that. So moving walls, small spaces, hoteling spaces, small conference rooms, things like that, where we can put our people if we need to. So that's the plan right now. Our remote work has been very successful. But we believe we need our people in the office more, and we just can't do it right now. We'd like to have folks come back in the office 3, sometimes even 4 days a week. We don't have a space to put them. We've looked and we've tried to do that because you do miss some things when you have remote
Oh,
work.
definitely.
Especially new people coming in and the mentoring factor and the collective grouping and conversations that pop up naturally when people are together. So that's kind of what we're looking for. Where we will continue the remote work, but we're going to reorganize how we do that.
And then, I'm sorry, I don't have the budget book, how many employees do you folks have again? I mean, even with your ones on the trucks and out, you know?
In the field,
Yeah, in
so
the
about
field and-
2/3 are in the field.
Okay.
100
380.
380, okay.
in the field?
Which is
I'm
big.
sorry, altogether.
No, altogether,
Yeah.
that's what I was asking, because from the budget book, 380. So, I don't disagree, I'm just worried about where the property would be. I really would like it on this campus if we're gonna do Pontiac and this. I'm worried it's not gonna be on this campus. That's my concern right now with the project going forward. I don't disagree that it should all be centralized and you guys should not have, I don't want you to think I disagree with that, because I do think it should be centralized. I'm worried about where the location will be for customers in Oakland County. You know, just being, if we're 3 different spots or 4 different, or, you know, so that's my concern. But thanks, that my questions are answered for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. We have Commissioner Rahman, followed by Markham, followed by Johnson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So my questions are actually very similar to Commissioner Long's. You know, I appreciate the efficiency of centralization, and I think there's definitely a need for it. My one question off the top of my head is, you know, we're talking about 5 or 6 facilities throughout the county, which I imagine provides some convenience, right, to
Oh, yeah,
workers that
that's
are in the
true.
field. So again, I think of my little quadrant of Oakland County, right? I feel like I'm light years away from Pontiac. You know, and I know there's facilities down by me. So does that mean all of those folks, all of that equipment, everything is now coming up to Pontiac or wherever it is? And when and if
Yeah,
there's a
that's true.
need,
That's
are we
good,
now
yeah.
going to have to go far, people are gonna have to travel farther to get to the corners of Oakland County and
I would say not. So the other facilities that we use that have field employees is over at 522 South Updike, which is on the east side of Pontiac. And then we also have folks at 8 Mile. And we have folks here on the county campus also. So those would be the ones that are kind of mostly consolidated in the new facility and billing. So we're already here already. There's no facilities in Farmington Hills. Southfield is the farthest that we, Southfield is the farthest that we go south. It's not in a community.
And then to Commissioner Long's point, you know, I appreciate Ann's comment that we wanna try to get everybody in-house, or at least have the option to keep everybody in-house. I guess, is there a need? You know, I know a lot of people are obviously in the field, and then there are people who are building remote. Do we need to have a facility to house 400 people?
So one of the things that we looked at with our architect already is how does remote work affect the floor plan? And really what you do is if you decrease the number of workspaces you have in a facility, you have to increase the number of conference rooms, phone rooms, you know, other type of satellite facilities, so you can have a phone call in private, or you can have do a presentation without people behind you. So there's lots of other things as we tour these facilities that you need to have in addition to the workstation. So when you look at the floor area that's required with, you know, decreased footprint of workstations and more of these conference rooms, it kind of is almost the same size when you look at it. So you're not decreasing the size of the building by saying we're all remote, because you have to provide these other facilities.
We're keenly aware we have to get this right.
Sure.
We can't go forward with an expensive building like this without making sure we have everything right on the inside for our employees.
Sure.
So that's why we're trying to be as creative as we can. We've toured other facilities that are modernizing, who offer remote work. So we're kind of mirroring some of those interiors.
And then the other last question I have for you, so we're talking 90 to 100 million plus land costs. And the 10 million is great, is seed money to get the project started. So even if that covers land or some portion thereof, we're still talking better part of 100 million. That's gonna be largely covered by that 2-year increase. Did I understand that correctly? So that roughly 50 cents per $100 times the 23 communities is gonna pay $100 million over 2 years?
Yep, we've already gone through the financials, and that's where we ended up.
Okay.
Yeah, the labor cost is such a small part of the rate that the water and sewer customer pays. The largest part of the rate that the water and sewer customer pays goes to like Great Lakes Water Authority.
We're talking 85%.
Yeah, so the
it's-
majority of your bill goes to Great Lakes Water Authority for sewage treatment or for water supply.
Yeah.
So we're a very small part of that, but it's enough to cover that difference.
So generally speaking, you know, everybody has the same bills for water and sewer, but you know, they're doing their own projects within their own communities. They're, you know, O&M is always gonna be, older communities spend more on O&M than newer communities. Just all these different things, that's how each individual community has their own rates. But the bulk of it is always gonna be the water and the sewer services from Great Lakes Water Authority. So even when we're adding significantly to cost of our office, the overall cost of the ratepayers is gonna be very small. That's why it seems like should be more than that, but it's really small.
Right,
So-
okay, no, I appreciate it, I'll be supporting it, but these are just some questions I wanted to.
Sure, we appreciate that.
You know, part of it is having a big storage, if you saw that diagram, the bulk of the building is gonna be for vehicles, because vehicles and all the equipment, if it's left outside, if you have to store that stuff outside, the lifespan of those is much less. The old buildings we're vacating, some of them are seriously old buildings. I mean, 1920s, 1930s, the one on campus here that's a very old building. Our own building is very inefficient. This will be a far more efficient building between the costs of basically recouping from selling some of these buildings that we'll be able to sell, plus the efficiencies of time, just the amount of time it takes to get equipment out onto the road in the morning. If we save a half an hour off that, that's a lot of money, because that's a whole bunch of people a half an hour each. So all of these efficiencies are gonna pay off in the long run. And we will be an extremely efficient building, and we'll be getting a bunch of our energy from renewable resources. So those are all the kind of things that we'll be doing to save money in the long term.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Markham.
Thank you. And my question is related to sustainability, redevelopment, all of that. It's not so much a question as a desire. I really hope when we're looking for where this belongs, if we can redevelop a site in the Pontiac area that's 40 acres, you know, needs some brownfield work, but it's right near where the rest of our operations are gonna be and so on. I mean, I hope that's what you're looking for.
I know you're all environmentalists at heart and you're not gonna wanna tear up a green space for your new building if you don't have to. So I just wanna put it out there that from my perspective, I really want us focusing on redevelopment. We should have property in this area that's big enough that we can use for this. I'd be really surprised if we don't. So that's my 2 cents.
Thank you. I'd say that was a whole nickel's worth. I'm gonna recognize Commissioner Johnson, who's online, and then I'm gonna squeeze in Commissioner Miller before Commissioner Long. Maybe Mr. Wyper before Long, since she's already here. Go ahead.
Go second, you're last.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First, totally appreciate you all coming here. And I absolutely respect that you need a better space, and I love consolidation of buildings. I think that's a great thing. My things are going to be familiar things to people who have listened to me on this committee before. One is, how many parking spaces is that? Those are several surface parking lots.
That hasn't been defined yet, that's just for the site plan, yeah, it's conceptual, we have not gone through that process yet. But it will be minimized as much as possible because we are trying to be sustainable.
Right, so we'll put in stormwater systems to make sure that we can handle that and it won't be, contributing.
No, I appreciate that. As far as concepts of a plan, I don't love concepts of parking plans. I can't emphasize enough how much I agree with Commissioner Long, and I appreciate her saying that. All right, so I used to work at the Detroit Zoo. That was my first kind of big boy job, and I know how difficult it was because, all right, to guests of the zoo, you might not recognize, but there's an entire administrative campus, and there's an admin building, and you've got your vet tech staff, and you've got your life sciences staff, and you've got all the landscaping staff, and it's several buildings of administrative support. And it was kind of annoying to have to walk from building to building to building, and I worked in administration, so I worked in a nice office building, and when we had to go to a warehouse to go do X, Y, and Z, that was a little bit annoying, but it was possible. And I recognize that what I'm about to ask may be an annoying thing, but I really do think it's worth considering splicing 100% office-based administrative staff from the mechanical section of this plan. And I know that that's an annoying ask, but this is a big project, and I really want to be a good steward of Oakland County's trust and placing as much economic impact as possible into downtown Pontiac. And this is a good opportunity to move a lot of employees into downtown Pontiac, into our footprint as an economic catalyst for that city. And I don't see that catalytic effect possible with this site plan as it is. This is a very suburban, come, stay inside, don't leave inside, don't have any other greater economic impact other than what's inside this office building. The only greater economic good is money spent at a vending machine, which is fine, but it's not the same thing as passing by a coffee shop on your way in, going out to lunch at a restaurant on your lunch break, and then stopping at a stationery store to get a birthday card on your way home. That's the kinds of things that are possible in an urban setting, and I think that's the goal of our move back to downtown Pontiac. So I'm just, I recognize that that's an annoying ask, but that's my 2 cents on this project.
Thank you, and I say to you too, sir, it's about 5 cents, so stop discounting yourselves, everyone. Thank you for that, and I'll have some summation once we get done, but it goes to your point, Mr. Johnson, so thank you. I'm gonna throw it to Commissioner Miller and then Commissioner Wyper, followed by Commissioner Long.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So the first question is, everybody knows I asked this question, are we gonna use the county's responsible bidding policy on this?
Oh, yeah, we do everything.
That's my coin question.
I like it.
So the indoor storage, I appreciate that medium from construction, as I know in the wintertime, equipment is harder to start when it sits outside all day, especially the negative degree weather. And like you make a good point, the longevity of equipment inside, sun, rain, all that stuff, it takes a beating, actually adds longevity. And then the repurposing, I'm all for it, but we, as commissioners, we have to be prepared, it's gonna be a higher cost. If we repurpose an older building, got asbestos, lead paint, stuff like that, so just to put that in your mind, I'm all for repurposing, I like that idea, but we have to be, if it's gonna be a cost, we have to look at that too. That's just the reality, right? It's always great to say, let's redo that building, but we don't know, that building might need $3 million extra just because all the pipes and repurposing and the stuff needs done, just for, and I'm all about building new things, so I like both worlds. Thank you.
Thank you,
Keeps everyone
Commissioner.
working both ways,
Commissioner Wiper?
you know?
Today is just to go out and look, right? That's all we're
Yes.
doing today.
Yeah.
Okay, so that,
Seek
and you're
property,
gonna keep all this stuff in mind, but today is only just to go look.
yes,
Okay.
correct.
Well, you took my summary, so
Yeah.
thanks.
That's all I have.
Commissioner Locke?
All right, so Commissioner Markham's gonna be mad at me maybe, cause it's green space. But so at Parks, I don't know how many acres we just bought, and I didn't vote for it, Bicentennial Oaks right next door. How many acres is that? Cause at least it would be on campus, it's right here, you know, behind, what's the store there? Not Big Lots, it's one of those. Harbor Freight or whatever. Yeah, how many acres is that? Cause now we just bought it for Parks, which I thought was stupid. We bought it from the county, I voted no. But how many acres is that? Cause at least it's here, you know? At least it's here. It is green space, but it's contaminated green space. I think it was an old orchard, so it's contaminated, so it's a brownfield we'd be redeveloping. I think it's probably 25 acres. Now we might have to, I just put it out there, you can buy it back from Parks, and I'd be very happy, cause I was a lone no vote. But, that's right there, and to me, at least it's on some campus. I'm worried, I'll agree, if it goes in Pontiac, if we can redo something in Pontiac, but I know it's a big building, but I want it either here close or in Pontiac. I don't want another location out in Clarkston, I'm just saying Clarkston, I don't even know if there's that much space, or Auburn Hills, that far away, just because we don't have a central campus, and normally when communities and municipalities start redeveloping, they put, like White Lake is putting everything on the campus now. We're not going backwards, putting everything all over the place. In White Lake, the library's there, the township hall's going there, everything's going in one area now. And that's what I think our goal should be, since we're redeveloping these buildings and repurposing and stuff. So that's just my opinion. I don't know if you ever looked at Bison. I think it's a big piece of property sitting there, but I know it's contaminated, but that could be a cleanup, and Gwen would like that in a greenfield. So I'm just bringing that out there. I don't know how many acres that is, but at least it would be on this property, you know, behind there, Harbor Freight. So, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Rahman?
Thank you. So have we earmarked certain locations, certain geography that we're trying to focus on? Or have we just said, you know, we're kind of.
We've looked at a bunch of different places. We really think it should be in the center part of the county because
Pontiac water.
we go everywhere.
Right here, yeah, this general area.
And really, that's the only things. We have to have enough space. We really want it to be in the center part of the county as close as we can. And we've already looked at a bunch of places. We'll be looking at them again once we get, you know, permission, we can go more in depth. We were just seeing what was available. So now we can do that more in depth, work that we need to do. So, and we'll be back to you guys. You know, like the commissioner said that, you know, we're willing to look at everything. We wanna make sure that it's gonna be in the best place, you know, for every part of what we wanna do. Economic impact it's important. We need to make sure we're doing that. We're not building a big office space. We're building enough space for the people we have, and I think we wanna make sure that we have enough for growth, because again, as we take over more communities, we're probably gonna have more folks like that. But we wanna make sure that we're looking at this in all the different ways that we need to consider, and we'll be doing that. So we wanna make sure that this is done in the proper way, and we do things the proper way in this county.
Yeah.
Just in how we do our bidding and how we do all the other things. So we want and appreciate the oversight we get from the county, because it keeps everybody honest, and that's what we wanna make sure we're doing.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and call for the vote on this. I think we're in a good place. I appreciate everyone's conversation on this, and remember what Commissioner Wiper basically said. This is to authorize for the negotiation of purchase of property. So they will be before us again. they've heard all of our multitude of considerations. I think we can feel confident in that. So with that, let's prompt the vote on item 10A.
Everything's coming back here though, right? This is just a look. Okay, you guys, I wasn't no, I'm a yes, but just a look.
I'm with William, I want a new bill, but I'll just wait for y'all not to be able to find it.
Yes, 6 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. That motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, team.
I agree that they need something, but I just
All right,
don't
next
know
is item
if they don't
11,
want it
Office of
advertised.
Sustainability Recommendations. We have just the one item, which is A, Office of Sustainability Grant Acceptance from the Michigan Department of Environment,
It wasn't known
Great
last
Lakes
night,
and
it wasn't
Energy
known.
Eagle for the Community Energy Management Grant. That's a mouthful.
Yes.
Welcome, Aaron. I'll take a motion to recommend and forward to finance. Moved by Commissioner Rahman, supported by Commissioner Miller. You've got the floor.
Well, I don't have much to say about it, other than this is the grant that we had previously come in front of this board for authorization to apply to. We were successful in receiving it. It's $100,000 from the state of Michigan by way of the Energy Efficient Block Grant Program from the federal government. It is to advance the energy study and related energy upgrades associated with that study. And so today in front of you, it's just authorization to approve for $100,000.
Great, thank you for that. Give a second or two if anyone has a hand they want to raise or a question. Commissioner Markham?
Yeah, so it's looking at efficiencies on the campus. Are we talking about this campus or are we talking about Pontiac or both?
Yeah, that's a really good question. For the energy study, we are primarily focused here on this campus because of the electrical feeders and the needs of these buildings when we talk about this campus between Waterford and Pontiac.
Okay, thank you.
See your car over there, one.
I am plugged in,
Very
okay.
good. So if nothing further, Commissioner Miller, did you have anything? I will go ahead and have us prompt the vote.
See, she was speedy today. The other one was lots of money, so we had a
You
good
have
time.
6 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you, that motion carries.
Great,
Thank you, Aaron.
Funny how 100,000 is nothing after we just talked about 100 million, you know?
Well, this is coming in.
Right,
that's
coming in and that's going out, right, but I mean, the big difference of price.
All right, we have item 12 under Facilities Management Department recommendations, the one item. This is a recommendation and forward to finance. I'll take a motion for Facilities Management Oakland County steam tunnel repairs. Moved by Whiteford,
It's all
supported by
under here,
Miller.
right, at these buildings.
Hello, Misty.
Hello.
Good to see you in real life.
Good morning.
Good morning. So share with the commissioners about steam pipes.
Yes,
and
exciting
things.
stuff.
Tunnels.
So we have a steam distribution network that services specific buildings on campus. That network is housed in tunnels. We have about 2 miles of tunnels. This project specifically is focusing on 2 sections. One section of repairs is about 300, a little over 300 feet. The other section is kind of almost spot on 300 feet. If you think about the distance between goal poles, it's 160 feet. So one section's 2 fields, football fields long, and the other section equally 2 football fields long. So project is about $1 million, a little over $1 million, 1.5. These sections are specifically focused on waterproofing. So we have water infiltration that's creating corrosion issues. We have cracks that the water is getting through inside the tunnels. We also have expansion joint repairs that we want to focus on as well, just to cinch up the shell of those tunnels and make sure that we repair that waterproofing that's infiltrating in. So there's metal supports that are holding up some of the steam piping and also the condensate piping. So at those base of those supports where the water is getting in, there's corrosion, so we're gonna cut off those bottom of those metal stanchions and repair those stanchions as well. So if there's any additional questions, let me know. This project is identified in the CIP for 2025. So looking to recommend to forward this on to the finance.
Thank you for that. For some reason I'm spinning my,
I got my
so
mine.
yeah, Commissioner Long.
Yes, sorry, I must have slept really good last night. I have a question, so the 1.1 million, I just wanna make sure, I understand these will need repaired, but these are campus areas that we're not gonna abandon the buildings now that we're moving to Pontiac. I don't wanna spend 1.1 million on tunnels being repaired. I mean, we probably have to repair them, but I wanna make sure that these buildings we're gonna be using these buildings.
Yes, correct. So these two areas are specific, right north of the court complex. So
Okay.
the buildings remaining, North Oakland Health Center, that building is also remaining.
Okay, and that we are remaining, that's staying there, we're keeping it open, so these need done. I just wanna be careful with my money, or county money or tax money if we're gonna abandon stuff after we spend 100 or 1.1 million.
Yeah, great point. I just wanted to add that the tunnels carry more than just steam that service each of the buildings. How many buildings total are on steam?
13 buildings.
Yeah,
Okay.
13 of our almost 40 buildings on campus, but the tunnels carry primary electrical lines, ITs, fiber optics, so on and so forth. So even when we reach our goal of decommissioning the steam plant and no longer need the steam lines, and even if we were to take buildings offline, in most, if not all cases, the tunnels are still needed to carry those other utilities.
Okay, so there's electric, what else did you say, electric? No.
Fiber,
Fiber.
IT runs their fiber
Okay.
through there, yeah.
Cause isn't the goal eventually to get rid of the steam, wasn't that one of our goals, to get rid of the steam? Okay.
Yep.
So I'm just making sure, and then that will still supply, we're gonna have buildings still needing this because of the other utilities going to it. Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Commissioner Miller?
Thank you. So I will say steam is the best heat you can get.
It's good
Just
to
like
know.
radiant heat, right? From a house
Yeah.
boiler,
Yeah.
the radiators. I just wanna make sure it has to do with the tunnels when we decommission, that we have a plan for the workers that are there so they don't get displaced.
That's been discussed within facilities management.
Oh, yeah,
yes.
for the steam.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'll politely push back and say steam might, I hear you, it's maybe not the most efficient
not
as far as
efficient, but
greenhouse
it's
gas
good heat.
emissions, but
It is
but yes,
good heat, eh?
we wanna make sure that we're not displacing the workers.
That old farmhouse had
We
steam.
have talked about that and actually have plans in place. They have skill sets that will work in other areas.
Right. I can just tell you that you use less lotion on your hands when you steam building than you do without.
You are,
Just so you know.
that is correct.
And I know, cause I have eczema on this hand, so this time of year, my hand cracks all the time. So.
You're right, steam is.
Learned something.
No, steam is.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All I know is Freddy Krueger movies and steam and tunnels, you just wanna stay away from those, so.
Face your fear.
Yeah, so I think we can go ahead and prompt the vote. I saw Commissioner Rahman with a look of pensiveness, I just wanna make sure you're in good shape, okay.
I asked this
Let us go
question,
ahead and prompt the vote then.
I'm quick on the trigger. I know, it's good, I'm quick on the trigger today.
While we're voting, I just wanted to ask about these green bins. Was this you facilities or was this, they're outside, you guys can't see them, but they're all over now. They say landfill and,
The recycling,
yeah.
Oh,
joint effort between facilities and Aaron's environmental sustainability office.
Nice. I'd love to know how you finally got that across, I mean, it's like 2024.
yeah,
It's one of my first complaints when I came
Years
here.
ago, yeah.
10 years late, 15, you know.
Universities, we've been separating for decades, so
Yeah.
it's really a welcome
That is
to
true.
see. I think we got a unanimous on that.
Yes, 6-0 nays.
Thank you, so that passes and we will see you at
Thank you.
finance.
Thank you.
All right, next is item 13, Economic Development Department recommendations. 2 items here, item 13A is a recommend and forward to finance. I'll take a motion for economic development, business development, grant acceptance from the United States Environmental Protection Agency for the Brownfield Assessment Coalition Grant. Moved by Commissioner Markham, supported by Commissioner Long. Welcome, thank you both. And let's see, Brad, And
Yep, good morning, Commissioners, Kristen Wilkes.
Kristen!
Good to see you all in
thank you so
person.
much.
I'm the administrator of the Trails, Transportation and Environment group within the Planning Division in Economic Development. Glad to be here this morning with you. I also have Brad Hansen here with me, who oversees our Brownfield project. And before you is the acceptance of our $1.5 million US EPA grant to do brownfield assessments. And I'll turn it over to Brad to mention some of the more specifics about the grant program.
Sure, this is our $1.5 million US EPA grant assessment grant that we applied for. We came to this committee back, I believe, in November for the application of last year, so it was a year-long process. We found out in May that we received it. We're at the point now that we're going for acceptance. We are going into interlocal agreements with our partners, which is the City of Southfield and Community Housing Network. And we're also working with purchasing currently to go out to bid for our environmental consultants to do the actual work in the field, which is phase 1, phase 2 type of work, environmental assessment work. $1.5 million over 4 years. It's a lot of money to spend, but we look forward to helping a lot of projects over those 4 years.
Thank you. Commissioner Wyper?
This seemed like a unique grant. I mean, it's having money to go out and educate and shop and learn and see what's needed. I mean,
It is a great grant. This is our, I believe our 7th since 2001 of this type of grant. So it's a great grant. It helps projects out, identifying contaminants in the ground and helping them clean up and getting the actual economic development going, and getting people back to work and cleaning up land. So it's a great project.
I had a list of how many phase 1s and phase 2s, and I mean, was it a few hundred or at least 100?
We identified in the grant application 95, but in previous grants, we've funded well over that. I would say with 1.5 million, we're gonna be looking at well over 95, but that was just a placeholder we put in the grant application, but we're probably gonna spend money on probably 150, 200 phase 1s at least.
And it could be all across Oakland County.
All across Oakland County.
So there's an intake form on our Brownfield webpage. So if you do know of sites that would qualify for this type of work for phase 1 and phase 2 environmental assessments, please feel free to pass that along to the property owners and have them, encourage them to fill it out.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, that's good. Anything further on this item? All right, well, we will then go ahead and prompt the vote. That motion carries. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Oh, Cheryl's next.
Yeah, at first I was like, I don't see Cheryl.
Yeah, I didn't see it on the agenda, but of course.
All right, I'll take a motion to recommend to the board item 13B, Economic Development, Aviation and Transportation Grant Acceptance from the Michigan Department of Transportation for Oakland Southwest Airport obstruction removal, wetland permit for runway 826 approach clearing design.
It's Phil's airport.
Moved by Commissioner Wyper, supported by Commissioner Rahman. And it's over to you, Cheryl.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We're just seeking a grant acceptance today for this MDOT grant in the amount of $120,239. This is a 100% federally funded grant, so we have no local match. We like those 100%ers. And this is just going to allow us to do continued work on the design of our wetland permit. And it's all a part of the big project that we have of clearing obstructions out at the Oakland Southwest Airport.
Thank you. Just a question for you on processes. Are you responsible for finding these grants? Like, are you the one applying and finding them and things like that?
These grants mostly come from the Department of Aeronautics, and so we work on a capital improvement plan, and we have a 5-year plan. And we have entitlement dollars, we have apportionment dollars, we have bill money. So it's a coordination with the state on all the buckets that are available and when it's our turn for funding, and our airport has been approved. So it's a little bit of our initiative and a lot of theirs too.
respect.
She's dying, she's like the Yoda.
I was gonna say.
That's what I was gonna,
Go ahead, Chris.
that's what I was gonna comment, the airport is excellent at finding they get grants, so they do an excellent job, so.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
That
Thank you very
helps.
much.
Yeah, that helps.
Yes.
And I think that's what your point was, how do you get these grants all the time, you know?
Well, we appreciate all of the work and the effort, and I don't see any other hands raised, so I will go ahead and prompt the vote on item 13B.
Yeah, 6 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you, that motion carries. Thank you, Cheryl. All right, item 14 has 4 items under it.
Lots. Moving people
This is
around.
under Transit Ad Hoc Committee recommendations. First one is 14A, which is an amendment 2025-1 with North Oakland Transportation Authority for Public Transit Services. This is a recommendation to the board. I'll take a motion to recommend to the board. So moved by Commissioner Miller, supported by Commissioner Wyford. Eli, welcome to the front of the room. What do you got?
So, we presented the package of 4 to the Transit Ad Hoc Committee, and what I'm gonna do is just outline, with this first one, what the format is, because each of the 4 follows that same format. And then if there are any questions about specific operators, I'd be happy to entertain those as the items are open.
So let me just have you pause. Team, would it be appropriate if, since we have that motion for the 1, is it too much effort?
Well, I believe the first item has something coming to it a little extra. It has-
Oh, I see.
Yeah, we have
So-
that amendment.
So you may be able to make that request for B through D.
Like it. Okay, carry on, Eli.
Okay, so again, the agreements that we, Oakland County, have entered with community service providers were established back in 2023. It was a parent agreement with a 3-year term. So those parent contracts will be valid through December 31st, 2025. The way that we have addressed the needs on an annual basis is by amending exhibits. And there are exhibits that run from A, which is service description, B, budget, through F and beyond, depending on what particular items need to be added for a specific year. With the primary changes occurring within exhibits A and B, which is the service and the budget. With regard to some of the later exhibits, what we have included in these amendments for this year as operational elements include the Oakland County Health Network contract. A couple of our operators have become partners in that process, and there's a separate financing mechanism for that. This acknowledges it as part of the transit agreements. Additionally, as the county initiated last year, Veteran Services support, and that based on continuing the grant program with the state and the success of our program, we've been able to extend that program, Veterans Ride Free. This rides on us through all of 2025. And we are in the midst of a prior approval on a community transit planning process. And we've included language within the agreements now that in essence guarantees, although I don't feel we needed it in an agreement, it was recommended that we include language that the planning also be described as one of the exhibits. So those are the elements that are changing with regard to the services. We're focusing on NOTA now as the first one. So what this agreement does is it integrates what has been a pilot program with Independence, Springfield and Clarkston into their base service area, and includes a budget that's appropriate to fund not only the existing area, but the existing area including this expansion area that'll become part of the base NOTA service area going forward. And that the total request for NOTA in the initial amendment was about $6.6 million. And we've worked collectively. I note that Lynn Gromowski, the director of NODA is online, as are many of the other operators, and that is the summary of what I have for describing the overall process, the elements, and a little bit of detail about NODA without taking too much of the committee's time.
Thank you, Eli. First hand up is Christine Long.
I told you I slept good. Okay, first on the trigger, I'm never on. So thank you, Eli, and I just wanna, because I asked you off record, but on record for all of them, if I could ask for all of them. So NODA, WODA, People Express, and OPC are all on board with all these changes and stuff, right? Correct?
That's correct.
And that's what I wanna just make sure before I vote, so thank you. I just wanted to clarify, because he told me off record, I have already asked, and I've also asked our transit committee commissioners that sit on that, so thank you. That's it.
Terrific. Commissioner Rahman?
Yeah, just a quick question, not directly related, and you may have spoke about this. I know the CVTs have the opportunity to do the transit improvement programs as well. Is that still in the works for, and I know it's sort of piloting for this year, so I know we may not have everything worked out, but that's also contemplated moving forward and that sort of.
Yeah, it's the Access to Transit program, and then the board has authorized $2 million. We literally closed the application process at the end of last week. So we're in the process now. We've received more than a half a dozen applications. And the intent, I believe, is assuming that the resources are available, will be to make this an annual program. So the answer is yes.
Okay.
Any other questions from commissioners on 14A?
Just wanna make sure, and then I can.
Seeing,
Well,
yes.
There's amendment, yeah.
Oh,
Add that amendment.
thank you, I overlooked it. So now.
Which is.
Someone
make a motion
I'll make
to-
the motion for the amendment, and then I'll speak to it.
Did you work on, yeah, you worked on it, didn't you?
Yeah.
You
Welcome.
worked on it, didn't you, Dave?
Chairman
Yes,
Woodward to the meeting and here as ex officio for the record.
Oh, is it just the money?
Yes, so, yeah, so
Go ahead.
I'll make the motion. Is there, speak to it before a second?
Yes. Oh, I hear what you're saying. So the
Yeah.
motion is what you see there.
Amendment 1,
Amendment 1, and
changing the amount only, right?
I was gonna say, we don't know what it is.
Yeah, no, it's a $25,000
Yes,
adjustment to
yeah,
the NODA.
it's in the ride, so if you hit your amendment.
Leopard supported, so go ahead.
Okay, fine. So this is a result, and actually I would say Commissioner Joliet is probably the lead, particularly involved of a space in her district. So as NODA expanded to provide transit service in the Independence Township area, the amount of vehicles and and using the Independence Township facilities to be a point in which a lot of activity happens. The city, Independence Township, the places where the vehicles are parked are often like in the gravel areas. And so Independence Township, looking to figure out a way to pave the whole area, is making use of their facilities free of charge. Independence Township is willing to maintain all the property. There was some money budgeted. It's estimated that number is going, the total paving the entire lot's about $300,000. This NODA's working out an agreement, Lynn can speak to it directly, for a set number of spots close to the building structure and additional spots because of the growth potential and frankly the real lived experience. This extra $25,000 gets it to like basically a third of what it will cost to pave the entire area. And it's one time. I think it's clearly as demonstrated as needed, and I think everyone's worked out the agreement. NODA, in their agreement with Independence Township, will have a set number of spots in one area and access to additional, and it seems to reflect what the value of that spot is. And again, this extra $25,000 is to help with the paving. There is no additional responsibility for snow plow, maintenance, all that type of stuff. It just gets it done. And so, if I may, Lynn is on.
Yes.
I usually speak with talking points, and I was not as eloquent as I hoped to have been. Is there anything else that you could add to that?
No, I think you hit all the key points.
Well, I have a follow-up quick.
We have not finalized the agreement with Independence, but we're working with their attorney right now to get the final agreement. But we've expressed what you've said to them, and they're trying to finalize the agreement.
So I just have so I can sum it up, because I did talk to Commissioner Joliet about it. So Independence is adding on to NODA. They weren't.
We've already done that, that's
Okay,
already.
but they're a newer partner with NODA, correct? I'm just trying to sum up. And then the parking that they need is for the people who are going to take the public transit, correct? Parking spaces for people that are going to get on the transit, or what are the
They can probably
parking
speak to
spaces
it.
for?
I thought
Yeah,
it was
that's
more,
what I'm
the
just
parking
confused.
spaces is for the vehicles that are
Okay,
used.
so the
And
parking
then-
space is more for the buses, not people.
For the buses
For the buses and for the employees that that use the buses, yes.
Got it, okay, got it. That's only two things I didn't understand. Okay, perfect, thank you.
And it's Commissioner Joliet would be here, I mean, she had,
Yeah.
a conflict and. and
Yeah, she
working on
called
this.
me to make sure, but I didn't ask her those things,
Yeah.
so,
So
okay.
it's, I mean, I think that it's a win-win proposition. I mean, I look at it as, helping improve infrastructure so that this fleet and Lynn can speak to, like, what is the percentage of activity that Independence, upon Independence
isn't it?
joining, like, represents what percentage of rides?
About 25% or so, a little bit.
25%. So I just like, that's a new add-on and
Yeah,
25%
that's a lot.
of activity.
Okay,
So.
good, thank you.
Anyone else? Commissioner Miller?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So the question is, with this added dollars for construction, are they gonna use the county's responsible contracting policy?
Great question.
That might be
It's
added
always
on
Mr.
then.
Miller's first.
You could add that on the amendment somehow, can't you, if you wanted? Maybe you should,
Make that motion.
maybe you should add it on, well, maybe.
That's you.
To the amendment?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
look at the amendment and see if you can just put it on there, maybe.
I definitely need you to say it again, it was a little light.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no,
Where could you add it?
I don't know where you would add it in the amendment.
I mean, do you need it in an amendment, or they can agree, either way?
You just add a line at the end, right?
That's what I thought, if
Good,
you wanna
yeah.
make sure.
Follow the county's responsible bidding and purchasing policy.
You could put it after the total, further, before authorize the chair of the board, you can add that somehow, maybe there, after transportation millage, and then follow the, whatever you wanna put, and then further authorize, put it after that. Oakland County Public Transportation millage, ... and then add what you want, and then go on, and it would make sense, probably.
Yeah.
Maybe,
So I'm just thinking out loud about like the process. So we
Right.
provide the funding to NODA. NODA engages in a contract with Independence
saying,
to get
like a
access to the
detail.
property. So it's gonna have to get included in that, and I know that they're in the process of negotiating
okay.
that.
So maybe-
Lynn, do you know, are they
maybe it can't
doing
be
it
in the
internally
amendment.
or are they contracting out for it, for the service?
Believe they're contracting out. They don't, yes.
Oh, maybe it's
As far as
in
I-
the contract and not the amendment,
Yeah, okay.
yeah.
It's Independence
Yeah.
voted on, we can't.
Might not need an amendment then, might need in the contract. You guys on transportation. Can make sure. It could add in there somewhere. You want it after Oakland County Public Transportation millage, ... if you.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, all right. Upon confirming with Commissioner Miller, let's work this out between here and the floor. I just, it's where it has to go. Yeah, I mean, like, it's, I've been focused on trying to like get, I didn't even, yes. It falls to, unless we put a requirement on the use of these funds for said purpose, we'd have to take some action. The question is where and how. So,
Yeah. Let's noodle over that between now and next Thursday morning as a note to self.
Okay.
And so the amendment will
Leave it-
stand
leave
as
it-
it was.
yeah, leave the amendment.
The amendment as presented.
As presented. And any further discussion on that? Oh, yes, Mr.
Sorry,
O'Brien.
one quick question. I know this is somewhat related, but like PEX, I know is trying to find a new hub as well. Sort of related, sort of not. But is that contemplated as well moving forward for next year? I don't know if we talked about
I
this.
appreciate the question, and the issue with regard to facilities for all of these growing operators is a question that's being addressed within the planning process. So we have the HNTB team working both with with county staff and with the operators and understanding what the future demands are gonna be, what the facility needs are going to be for us to meet the demand as it grows over time. And the answer is that there, at least 2 or 3 of the operators are looking for expanded facilities, both in the short term and long term. And that we'll have the recommendations for that sometime during 2025.
Okay, we potentially have the ability to carve out, if needed, and again, we don't know what that looks like, how much that looks like, but at least it's contemplated as we move forward for next year, that they may have to be some part of the expenditure.
Yeah, there's no question that capital facilities are gonna require resources in order to acquire, improve them. And we would hope that working with MDOT and the FTA, that we're gonna secure some grant assistance beyond the county funding.
Sure.
But it's premature since we don't even have the size of the bread box yet.
Understood, yep, for sure. Perfect, thank you.
Thank you.
So now we're voting on the amendment as is,
Yes.
right? Okay.
So we can go ahead and prompt the vote.
Just wanted to summarize. Woodward.
Yes.
You don't even, oh yeah.
You
Oh,
have
you don't even have that
7
yet.
yeas, 0 nays.
Right now,
Now, we can
as amended.
vote on,
I'll do the B through D.
okay, but
No,
before
well,
we
we
do that,
gotta-
we
We
just
gotta
gotta
do 14
finish A
as amended.
as amended. And we can go ahead and prompt the
Let's get
vote
out of
unless
the
there's
way.
any more
No,
discussion.
one
We're
first.
good.
Woodward.
Yes.
Now we can do B, right? Probably B, C, D.
7 yeas and 0 nays.
Wonderful, that motion carries.
B, C, D.
And now I'll take a motion to
B, C, D.
recommend to board items 14B, C, and D. Would you like me to read those titles, Mr. Wypert?
No.
Yes.
Amendment.
It's the lawyer in him.
2025-1 with Western Oakland Transportation Authority for Public Transit Services. Item C, Amendment 2025-1 with People's Express for Public Transit Services. And item D, Amendment 2025-1 with Rochester Hills Oakland Rochester Older Persons Commission for Public Transit Services. Moved by Commissioner Rahman, supported by Commissioner Long. All right, Eli, anything we need to know further on this?
The little additional detail that I would add is that with regard to both WODA and OPC, the amount that is being requested is very similar to the amount that was awarded last year. People's Express, similar to NODA, has had substantial expansion during 2024. In the case of People's Express, they're now serving the city of Novi as a significant new demand area. And so the request for People's Express is increased to 6.6 million, which will also include additional vehicle fleet for meeting the increased demand that they're experiencing. Other than that, similar to what I described for NODA, Exhibits A describe the services in the People's Express area. City of Novi has been added, and the rest of it is generally just the financial machinations of how the authorities presented their budgets, and we negotiated with them to get to this agreed to place.
All right, Commissioner Long?
So just out of curiosity, and Gwen or Eli might know, what is Novi, what did they increase ridership by? Does anyone know, like a general?
So I'm gonna look to Enos from People's Express staff. Do you have the?
About a Novi, how many more?
It was almost 8,000 ridership increase in the last 3 quarters.
In a short period of
Sorry,
time,
last
right? In a short period of time, that 8,000, right?
8,000 in the last quarter.
Yep.
Wow.
I told him we needed transit.
Well, I mean, I gotta say, you know, I'm not the biggest,
For 20
I'm not the
freaking
largest
years.
proponent of public transit, as you guys know. But out of all places, Novi always made the most sense because they've got all the shopping and all the, I mean, it is a
Hospitals. We've got
hospital and your community is perfectly set up for it. So I'm glad to hear there's 8,000 people. I mean, it works.
Mr. Long, I'm gonna nominate you as the transit champion of
Yeah,
America.
I mean, cause I knew that, that's why I wanted to know that number, just for a little fact back for myself, so thank you.
Good morning. And there
Thank you.
are PEX trucks up and down all day long.
Well, this is,
It doesn't
they've
matter
got the
which way
perfect
and what
community
time.
for mass transit, I
Yeah.
gotta say, Novi is, so.
What if you
Good.
see
Thank you to
these
all of
vehicles
you
in
who
other
helped
communities
bring
that
transit.
you don't see that they actually serve? Is that like a nothing burger or is that a red flag? 'Cause I'm seeing PEX in Southville all the time.
Yeah, so the reality is that if you would look at the Exhibit A, the very last page of Exhibit A, it has a service territory map. And so there's both the resident communities that they are picking people up from, and then there's a driving area that includes a larger expansive area because people in Novi may be going to Southfield. And
Right.
the question how they get there.
Yeah. And it's always, I live near Providence, so I'm guessing it's probably something
Yeah,
like
the-
that.
Many of the operators have called out the health
Can you pick me up
facilities
too?
as a destination within their service area because they know from their experience, that's where their trips are heading to.
Yeah, okay, good, that clears it up for me. I don't have to feel like I should be
But
reporting.
you probably can catch a ride to Novi if you see
Right
one.
now,
It's like,
yeah.
it's probably going back.
Meet up with Gwen and Ajay. All right, well then, I think all hearts and minds are clear on this item. We can go we can go ahead and prompt the vote on B, C, and D.
I wanted to know that number and I knew it would be on. In a quarter, that's a lot.
You have 7 yeas and 0 nays.
That motion carries. Thank you,
Thank you.
Eli.
Thank you, Eli.
You did
Thank you,
great
Eli.
work. You seem like you removed the friction from this transit life that we feel over the last couple of years.
moving along.
Really appreciate all the work you've done with all the
With the operators,
Oh,
they're
yes,
the
definitely.
real front line.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, we know you
appreciate
got, we know you got
It's a
good
great team.
staff.
Yeah, thank you all. Alrighty, item 15 is materials management planning.
Northville, that's you, Glenn, they don't want a part of us. They don't want a part of us, Glenn?
Yes, this is a City of Northville request to be excluded from the Oakland County Materials Management Plan.
They do not wanna be
Moved
a part.
by Markham, I think, supported by
Russian, isn't it just?
All right, let's see, Kristen, I'm gonna just tattoo it somewhere where I can see it all the time. Kristen Ann, it looks like, Whitney?
Whitney.
Wonderful.
Good morning again, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Good to see you again. We've been working diligently in a lot of our administrative tasks for the materials management plan, which is required by the state of Michigan. We've submitted the work program successfully in time and met the deadline, which is in December. This is just another formality within the state statute that we have to proceed with. So with me today is Whitney Callio. She's our principal planner. And also overseeing the materials management process as well. So I'll turn it over to Whitney to explain a little bit about this particular portion of the statute and the requirements.
Good morning, Commissioners. As Kristen said, this is a formality that's written into Michigan Public Act 451, Part 115 for the Materials Management Plan. Any community that's located in more than one county can request that they are only included in one of the plans.
Wayne
So it's-
County?
Correct. So
Okay,
the
that makes
majority of the
sense.
community is in Wayne
Yes.
County. I will say this was in place during the solid waste plan that we did 20 years ago, and it was the same. So Northville
Okay.
went with Wayne County, so this is really just a formality. It requires that each of the Board of Commissioners of those affected counties approve this.
Makes sense. Good.
Got it.
And I would just like to say, we're in the same situation with Fenton for that little portion that's located in Oakland County. So that will be coming forward at some point as well.
Okay, good to know. I see Commissioner Markham's hand.
Yeah, it just makes sense. Northville does most stuff with Wayne County
Yeah, 'cause
and,
the
you
Baldwin's
know,
there, right?
the city of Northville is in two counties. They're surrounded by Northville Township, which is Wayne County, so, I mean, all the garbage pickup and all that is
County.
connected, so it makes sense to do it that way, yes.
Got it. Commissioner Rahman?
To Commissioner Markham, I was just gonna say, judging by the amount of time it took to fix 8 Mile,
Mhm.
I think they made the wrong decision or wrong county to go in, but
Right.
that's just my 2 cents.
I was driving through Northville with one of my kids a couple of days ago, and they do leaf pickup, you rake it to the street and they come along and vacuum it up. And they were like, they don't have to take care of their leaves, or I said, no, that's how it's done, but you know, that's just across.
Number of communities where that's the thing, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, that's.
Nice though.
Well, it's nice, but it's not. I mean, if you
Yeah.
have a
It's
bad
both.
storm, well, that's all
Right.
laying in the gutters.
Yeah,
Now
that's
you've got leaves plugging up the drains and it's, yeah.
So I'm curious, it says sponsor Robert Hoffman, that's throwing me for a loop.
Oh, isn't he the
Oh, he's
chair
on
of
the
that?
chair.
He's the chair of that
Oh,
committee.
okay. Thank you.
I should say that, the committee did review this.
committee chair.
and
Thank
Yeah.
Approved it, and yes, he's the
I
chair
just
of
figured
that
that's
committee.
Bob Hoffman, that's how I
Wonderful. Thank you.
remember
That clears it up.
years ago.
He's walking in.
Yeah,
Anything else on item 15A?
that's why he has him on it.
Seeing no other hands, we can go ahead and prompt the vote.
I didn't know that Bob was a sanitary, so that's the same, the new.
We have 7 yeas and 0 nays.
Thank you, that motion
Thank you very
carries.
much.
Thank you, ladies. All
Okay,
right.
make sure we stay in
So-
closed session only with this committee.
The chair will entertain a motion to go into closed session for the purpose of considering material exempt from discussion or disclosure by state or federal
Just make sure it's
statute.
committee members.
Who'd like to make the motion? I mean, I just made it. Who'd like to? Well, I guess I just made it.
You can,
And-
you can request that motion, or
Right.
you can make it.
I'll just make it.
Okay.
And can I get a support? Commissioner Marco, thank you. A roll call vote is required to close the meeting, so I'll
Stops at 11:30.
have you prompt it up. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll talk.
Yeah.
Oh, don't close it yet, because we have some moving parts.
You know,
Prompt the vote is roll call.
oh, we're prompting to go in closed session, okay?
Yeah.
For what
Okay.
purpose again?
She did announce it.
Yeah, she did.
Of evaluating the Pontiac redevelopment project as.
You have 7 yeas and 0 nays.
Okay. So we do need a little shuffle time for the
Off air,
off-air
Off air.
people and
down,
my
thumbs
in open session. And the chair will entertain a motion
Yeah.
that the department be authorized to proceed in accordance with the directives disclosed in closed session. I'll accept the motion of that. Thank you, Commissioner Markham. Is there support? I'll support it. Let us now prompt the vote.
You have 6 yeas and 0 nays.
Oh my gosh.
We had the elections done.
All right.
What's it?
Aren't
It's
we
the
all?
first one.
Aren't we all?
All right, is there anyone here from the public, thank you, Jody, who would like to address this committee for our second public comment? Seeing no one moving to the front, is there any other business? Seeing none, this meeting of the EDI is adjourned.